Operations Department. This department looks after everything relating to the operation of flights. Only a senior executive pilot, normally called General Manager, Operations, or Operations Manager, categorically heads the department that comprises two categories of personnel, such as flying crew and ground staff of flight operations. Flying crew consist of cockpit crew members. However, in some airlines, in case it does not have an in-flight services (IFS) department, the cabin crew members also come under this department. Ground staff of Operations Department. The flight operations officers of this department are required to communicate with the aircraft and ground stations over the radio telephone, RT, and the airlines train them about the procedure and techniques of doing so. These officers also receive training on flight planning and supply the flight plan along with the relevant weather reports to the commander of every flight before its departure. Important responsibilities of ground staff of Operations Department. Some of the important duties and responsibilities of the Operations Department personnel are detailed below. 1. On-time reaching of the crew at the airport to operate their flight. Every department of an airline puts in their best efforts to fulfill their share of duty to avoid their department's involvement with the delay in departure of any flight. Although this responsibility remains chiefly on the transport section, the staff of this department monitor the reaching of the crew members carefully and initiate suitable actions to minimize the delay, if not to nullify the same. 2. Conveying the crew members prior intimation regarding change of flight departure. The Operations Department staff inform the concerned crew members individually regarding any anticipated delay in departure of their flight to their residence, so that the crew members do not report at the airport, and countdown of their flight and duty time limitation, FDTL, predetermined by the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, does not start. The movement control staff obviously like to have the crew members available on duty for the maximum duration, and for that, they exert best efforts to see that the crew members' FDTL period remains untouched or intact. 3. Arranging replacement for the scheduled crew member in case he or she becomes unavailable. If any crew member is not available for his or her duty due to whatever reason, the staff of this department arrange a replacement for the absent crew member. A crew member may report the aforementioned non-availability at any time, ranging from an earlier day to just before the departure of the flight. 4. Making periodical flight schedule for the crew. The duties or flights of crew members are to be carefully contrived in advance. Various factors are required to be considered before allotting flights to crew members. The chart reflecting the duty of crew members is called Crew Flight Duty Roster, Crew Roster, or simply Roster. The personnel of this department prepare this chart. 5. Helping in license renewal. Each cockpit crew has his or her license issued or endorsed by the DGCA that needs periodical renewal. Cockpit crew cannot undertake any flight duty if their licenses, ratings, etc. are not validated, made current. For this renewal, various aspects like flying, checks, training, medical checkup, etc. become necessary. The personnel of this department keep a tab on these factors and arrange these for the crew. 6. Fixing date for periodical medical checkup. All cockpit crew members are to appear before the DGCA-approved medical board periodically to comply with the required standard of fitness recommended by the authorities. In this case, the personnel of this department keep a tab on the time on behalf of the crew members, arrange to comply with the necessary formalities, and to make it materialize. 7. Securing clearance for the flight from Air Traffic Control, ATC, weather forecast from the meteorological office for the flights, and briefing the commander before departure. The officers of this department report to the Air Traffic Control, ATC, to secure the necessary clearance for the flights. Obtaining the flight clearance is mandatory for the operation of every flight. This clearance remains valid for a specific period only. They also visit the meteorological office to acquire the weather reports for the departure station, en route, along the route, destination station and the diversion station for every flight. They furnish the flight plan, the clearance and the weather report with other necessary briefings for the flight to the commander of the flight before departure. 8. Providing information about the quantity of fuel necessary for a particular flight to engineering department. Standard sector fuel as communicated by the technical cell is filled in the aircraft in normal circumstances. After completion of the pre-flight briefing, as aforementioned, the commander of the flight, being the sole in charge and responsible for the safe operation of the flight, is liable to demand an altered quantity of fuel, as per his or her justification, depending on various factors revealed through the briefing. In such cases, the altered fuel quantity has to be relayed to the engineering shift in charge and commercial duty officer by these officers. 9. Providing technical information for cockpit crew. Technical bulletins for the cockpit crew are published periodically. The personnel of this department supply these to the crew members for upgradation of their precognition. The cockpit crew. The cockpit crew that falls under the jurisdiction of this department consists of Commander, known as Captain or P1. Co-pilot, known as First Officer or P2. Flight engineers, required for certain aircraft only. Navigators, required for some specific flights only, and ground engineers known as Aircraft Maintenance Engineer, AME, when they are required for the operation of certain flights, as crew members.